you. So let me sure I've got this right. Is it Vanakkam Chennai? Vanakkam Chennai. Or Namaste, if you're not from Chennai. So this is Andrea. You, me, and Andrea are living at an incredible time in human history. I don't know if you know this, but in the next 3 years, over 3 billion people will be coming online for the very first time. That's 3 billion people who have never bought, uploaded, or sold anything online before. Now, here's the thing about these rising billions, this audience, like Andrea, from countries in Asia, Africa, South America, here in India. When they want to find the thought leaders and the experts to inspire, educate, and entertain them, they go online first. What message do you want to share with them? How do you want to inspire them? And here's the really good news. Every speaker in this room just now is as unknown to these rising billions as a Tony Robbins, a Jack Canfield, or any of the most famous speakers that you can think of today. But if we are going to take advantage of this opportunity over the next few years, it requires that we do things differently and we do different things. It requires, instead of thinking of ourselves as Indian speakers, British speakers, American speakers, we think of ourselves as global speakers who use our voice to share a message on global stages, online and offline. In my talk to you today, I'm going to talk to you about how to use automation, artificial intelligence, to grow your speaking business and to get more speaking gigs. In essence, I'm here to give you some superpowers today. Now, if I'd have been here at an event like this, 12 to 18 months ago, I would have been the guy sitting way up the back of the room, quietly making notes. No one in the speaking industry knew who I was. I'd never been paid to speak on stage before. Fast forward, and this year I'll give between 30 to 50 paid keynotes all over the world. For example, in the last 12 months or so, I've had the opportunity to speak in about 14 countries. I had an incredible opportunity to go and speak and interact with audiences in South America, in Asia, also in this part of the world as well. Now, my start in my life, it was not the life you would think of a professional speaker. I was born here in Scotland, in the mountain area of Scotland, the land of whiskey and golf and Braveheart. And as a kid, my parents would make me walk up the summits of mountains dressed in a kilt. So if you don't know what a kilt is, it's a skirt, traditional skirt that a Scottish man wears. They thought it would build resilience going up there in the rain and the wind and the snow, I'm told. So I don't come from a family of professional speakers. In fact, my family are originally Roma gypsies. So we're used to traveling, that's where we come from. But in my family, you had two options. You could either become a boxer or you could become a bagpiper. In my family, you were either a sports person or you were a musician. Now, I dislike violence, so I'm not going to become a boxer. Also, I really, really hate the sound of bagpipes, so that was not an option for me either. So around the age of 14, I was thinking, what do I want to do with my life? How do I want to contribute to the world? And I picked up a book and attended an event by this gentleman, by Tony Robbins. Now, Tony Robbins, this bigger, larger-than-life character. He's bold, he's brash, the way that he presented as a speaker on stage. But I love the fact that he was able to communicate and genuinely help thousands of people on stage at scale. However, his style is not my style. He's an American speaker in that very big style. That didn't feel like it was right for me. And I thought, maybe I'm not a speaker after all. But then about a year later, I attended another talk by this man. This is Dr. Edward de Bono. And Dr. de Bono was as a creativity expert and speaker, and he was the complete opposite from Tony Robbins. He would sit there, almost like a university professor, and he would draw these little diagrams which were projected onto the screen behind him. There was no fireworks in the way that de Bono presented, but his ideas were dazzling. And I thought, maybe, just maybe, I can become a speaker and find a game that I want to play somewhere between these two worlds. And what did I do about it? Absolutely nothing. I didn't do anything that year about it, or the year after that. In fact, the next over 20 years, I did absolutely zero to make that dream of becoming a professional speaker into a reality. But then a birthday came along, a big birthday. You know, one of those birthdays with a zero on the end? Yep. And I thought, now's the time. If not now, when? But I thought, how am I, this guy who lives in the middle of nowhere by a mountain in Scotland, going to compete with all these huge speakers who have best-selling books? How can I stand out? And as I was thinking about this, I thought, and started doing my research about 18 months ago, there was a number of strange things that kind of came across to me. And I also sensed that, having been in a family with musicians and traveling people all my life, I sensed I want to be able to speak more and work less. It's kind of philosophical approach to it. Now, I should preface this. This bit that we get to do here, when we're up on stage speaking, I don't consider this to be work. This is play. This is fun for me. Unfortunately, as my friend David Averin says, that speaking is really not just about getting up here and speaking on stage, it's getting booked to speak on stages. 90% of the time that you will spend in your speaking business is going to be doing the business side of things. It's going to be finding those opportunities. It's going to be following up with those leads, doing those telephone calls, traveling to your next speaking engagements, eating bad hotel food. That bit there, that's work. That 90%. This bit here, where we get to be up on stage to inspire, educate, and entertain, this is joy. This is fun. So I decided I wanted to speak in a slightly different way. I wanted to approach building a career, and this is one of the reasons why the people here asked me to come speak, about how I went basically from zero to highly paid keynote speaker in around 12 months. And what I discovered as I started researching and speaking to amazing speakers, some of whom you're going to hear from this weekend, is that I found out what their most important metric is, the thing that they really value. Because initially when I started speaking to some speakers, they said they had this strange thing. They kept referring to themselves and others by their fee level. So they would say, he's a $5,000 speaker. She's a $10,000 speaker. I'm a $15,000 speaker. And I thought this sounded really strange, how you would refer to yourself in that way. But as I started researching more, and I looked for those speakers who were not just successful, financially successful and successful as a speaker, but also lived a life of joy and happiness, they had a slightly different metric. And whether they called it this or not, this is how I describe it. I call it your effective daily rate, or your EDR. It's very easy to calculate. You can calculate this just now. This is the formula for it. It's your monthly revenue from your speaking minus your monthly costs. Then you're going to divide this by the numbers of days worked. Very simple to calculate. And the good thing is, as new speakers, when we get started, we all start from zero. We all start in exactly the same place. And I felt the job of my role, what I was trying to do by having this quality of life in speaking, was getting that EDR, getting that as high as possible. I'll give you an example. Let's say we have two speakers. We have Simon and Sue. They're both $5,000 speakers. They get $5,000 per speech. Simon works day in, day out on getting his speaking gigs, really hard. Sue, on the other hand, works 4 days a week, but she uses some of the automation and some of the strategies I'm going to show you now, plus she has an assistant, and so she's able to, her costs are a little bit higher, but I'm going to show you how she's become a bit more efficient. So basically it works out that it can take someone like Simon about 6 days to get a speaking gig, to go and deliver a speaking gig and do all the other follow-ups for it. So his effective daily rate is $625. Whereas Sue, she only has to take 3 days to get that lead, find that lead, warm up that lead, convert the lead to a paid speaking gig, travel to the speaking gig, give the gig, and come back. So her effective daily rate is $1,000. Now, Sue is a more productive speaker than Simon. So one of the things I'm going to ask you to do, if ever you hear a speaker say to you and boast about their fee levels, I'm $35,000 speaker, then ask them this question. Ask them, well, what is your effective daily rate? Because that will tell you not just about the quality of their bank balance, but it'll also tell you about the quality of their lives. So once you have this sense of effective daily rate and how do I increase it, there's really just 5 things that you can do to get that number in the right direction. The first one is you can increase the number of speeches you give. So you can just speak more. You can increase the fees per speech. You can increase the number of repeat bookings, so working with the same clients but doing more work with them. You can reduce your costs, and you can reduce the numbers of days worked. Different people will do it in different ways. For example, a friend of mine, Josh Linkner, he speaks on the same topic as me, on creativity, innovation, AI. He did 163 keynotes last year. His average fee is $35,000. So he's very much going for that. He's doing a high number of speeches. But I have other friends, actually Frederick Harron, who's an incredible speaker, who also is not just a great speaker, but has an amazing quality of life. So the number of speeches is not the most important thing to him, and the speakers I admire. So once I had this sense, okay, these are the numbers, then I think about how do I take this in the right direction? And I was struggling with this, to think, okay, I'm not known at all. How do I build my speaking career and get these numbers going in the right direction? And then one day, I came across a story, and this is the story. On May 11th, 1997, in a stuffy New York City conference room, something happened, which is going to change the lives of everyone in this room. In the middle of that New York City conference room was a table, and on that table was a chessboard. On one side of the chessboard sat Garry Kasparov, the world's greatest chess player. And on the other side sat Dr. Murray Campbell, who was a software engineer for IBM. To the right of Dr. Campbell was a display, and that display was connected to IBM's artificial intelligence supercomputer, Deep Blue. Now, Deep Blue didn't think and play chess like a human, with human intuition and creativity. Instead, it systematically evaluated up to 200 million moves per second and used something called brute force logic. But the reason why the room was jam-packed this day with news crews and journalists from all over the world was because this wasn't just about a game of chess. This was about the contest between humans versus machines that will define this century. As the game began, the first move that Kasparov made, it's called the King's Indian Attack. It allowed him to take the advantage and to win the first game. 1-0 to the human race. Yay! But then the second game was essentially a draw, and this put Kasparov off balance a little bit. By the time they got to game 5, someone overheard Kasparov saying, "I'm not afraid to admit, I'm afraid." And then in match 6, this happened, game 6. In an opening gameplay, Kasparov made a mistake that was so obvious, the spectators in the room gasped in disbelief. Deep Blue had won the game. Deep Blue had won the match. This was proof, if ever we needed it, that computers, machines, were finally able to do the kind of complex cognitive tasks that we'd always thought were the preserve of our developed brains. The machines were finally coming for the white-collar jobs, the college-educated, perhaps even the professional speakers. So imagine what that would feel like, to have spent your whole life becoming really skilled at your job, only for a machine to come along and do it faster, cheaper, and ultimately better. That sensation is about to be felt by hundreds of millions of people around the world. But what happened next is a lesson, I think, for us as speakers. And this was the lesson I took, because what happened next is Kasparov, after he dusted himself off, he said, okay, what about, instead of thinking of these machines as my competitors, what about if I think about them like my collaborators? And what happened next in the world of chess is a useful preview of what is going to happen in the world of speaking. You see, what it required is that Kasparov and the other chess grandmasters had to switch up their preparation habits. They had to change things up. It's like asking an artist to go from drawing on a canvas to drawing on an iPad. But as in chess, as it will soon be in speaking, it's a matter of adapting to survive. And what happened next in the world of chess is the evolution of something called centaur chess, or centaur chess players. Now, a centaur comes from Greek mythology, and a centaur is a half human, half creature, half something else. You know, it'll be half human, half horse. In places like Denmark, it's a half woman, half mermaid, half fish, so the mermaid. Here in India, as I look around, there's lots of examples of centaurs, these half humans. So what a centaur is able to do, a centaur chess player, is it combines the huge strategic thinking and creative thinking of a human with the tactical capabilities of an artificial intelligence and bring these together. And a centaur chess player will beat any human chess player any day of the week. But it will also beat any artificial intelligence working on its own. I mean, it's a little bit like, if anyone was watched the movie Iron Man, there's that Tony Stark character played by Robert Downey Jr. And he has an AI assistant called Jarvis. And together, him and Jarvis build really cool stuff. It's a tool that he's able to use. So I thought, okay, this is interesting. What about if instead of just building my speaking career like the usual way that you're told to do, what about if I take a centaur mindset and I blend the best of hopefully of me and my humanness with the best that I can do in technology, artificial intelligence. And that's what I'm going to show you just now. So you can duplicate this and you can start to use it for your own speaking business. Because what this allows you to do is to leapfrog the competition. In fact, I would argue that if anywhere in the world had a better potential to take this kind of mindset, this mix between engineering and humanness, it's probably somewhere like India. You're a country of engineers, but also huge spiritual depth there as well. If you can combine these two aspects, this can allow you to leapfrog the competition that may be seen as much more successful just now. So as I started learning about speaking, I discovered that there's really two ways you can market your speaking. It's kind of simple. There's inbound marketing and outbound marketing. So inbound marketing is where you get attention for your speaking. You're looking to get attention for your topic, your speaker brand, the things that you speak about. Outbound is when you're reaching out to prospective clients and leads in order to convert them to paid speaking gigs. And you need to do both of these. So at Speakers U, I coach speakers. We often talk about tofu, or top of the funnel, in inbound marketing of your speaking. Also, I'm a vegan, so I don't eat meat, so I like tofu, so I eat a lot of tofu. So at the top of the funnel, what your goal is here is to try and get as many people into the top of the funnel that could prospectively learn about you to book you as a speaker. I'm going to show you one really powerful way to do this. It's called online summits. How many people here have attended some kind of online summit in the past? Okay, probably about a quarter of the room. So if you don't know what an online summit is, essentially an online event, a bit like this, but it's live, but it's online, and people can register for free, and it usually lasts about 5 days, and they get access to videos of interviews between the host, the summit host, and the guest. It's a win-win-win, because what happens is the host is able to build their positioning and build their profile, because if you're the host of a summit, you're automatically seen at the same level as your guests. Also, it allows you to get awareness and build awareness of what you're doing. So I thought, okay, someone told me, in fact, I think it could have been one of the speakers here said to me, James, one of the best ways to get speaking gigs is through referrals from other speakers. Okay, I can do that. So what I did is I went and interviewed 50 of the world's best speakers, best keynote speakers, and I created an online summit and then made that available for free so anyone could learn from it. When we launched this summit, over 10,000 speakers from all over the world came on this summit. We had guests like Jack Canfield, some of the greatest speakers in the world. And what this allowed me very quickly to do was to position myself as an expert in my field, and also to get lots of leads. And people got to learn about me. Oh, James Taylor, that's that guy that speaks about creativity, innovation. So it brought me in loads of referrals from other speakers. Now think for yourself in your own topic. I mean, today there's online summits happening in every imaginable topic, from cryptocurrency and leadership to we've got women's things about women. Hay House, one of the big publishers, over 1 million people attended their last online summit. So think for yourself, whatever your topic is that you speak on, could you interview 30 to 50 other experts and speakers on your topic and create an online summit for it? It allows you to position yourself very quickly in the market. So that brought in the first wave of speaking engagements. But then I got together with another speaker, who's called Erin Gargan. She's a great speaker on marketing. Erin is this kind of Southern Californian chilled out woman, and I'm this kind of straight British guy. But we worked. So you don't have to create a summit on your own. You can co-host the summit. And together, what we did is we interviewed 45 of the world's top event professionals. Because what that allowed us to do is, as speakers, we got to learn about what these conference organizers wanted, and then also as a way of bringing event organizers into our world and learning about us. When we first launched this summit, in the first 24 hours or so, we had 2,500 conference organizers, meeting planners, event organizers that registered. That got us bookings to speak all over the world. So then we thought, okay, this is really cool. This is a great way of bringing in potential leads for us to let them know that we're speakers. But the only problem with online summits is they usually last for 5 days. How can we turn this into an evergreen thing so that 24/7, 365 days a year, we're bringing leads into our speaking funnel? And so we figured out how to do it. It's something we teach at Speakers U. So what happens now is if you go to internationalspeakersummit.com or eventprofessionalsummit.com, it looks like the event starts in 2 days' time. And when you register, you'll go through exactly in the same way as you would going through a live online summit to get access to all these great interviews. But here's the interesting thing. I know by the minute I stood on this stage to the minute I leave the stage at the end of the talk, I'll have about 40 new leads into my funnel. Conference organizers, the kind of people that book speakers. And I haven't had to do anything. It's just working 24/7. So you can use these online summits as great ways to bring in leads. So that's the inbound. Then the other side is the outbound. And I'm going to share with you just now how you can use artificial intelligence and automation to really reach out to prospective clients and win business. So my take on this, I call it a 4-act play, how to get speaking gigs. You have the prologue, which is the prospecting stage. So that's the stage where you're looking for the leads, you're doing your research. Then we have Act 1, which is the contacting stage. So this is where you're reaching out to those prospective leads. We have Act 2, which is the qualifying, making sure that you're the right speaker for them, they're the right event for you, and that they have a budget. And then we have Act 3, where we look to hold and close the date. Act 4, where we deliver, we go and give our keynote. And finally, the epilogue, where we look to delight. So it's like a play in the theater. Now, we can do things at all these different stages to increase our chance of getting gigs. So the first thing, I'm going to break this down for you, and feel free to absolutely use this as well. So the prologue stage is my assistant has a responsibility that every week he has to find 200 potential opportunities or places for me to speak at. These could be conferences, they could be companies. He then goes to a hidden page on our website, and he enters these in. He puts the name, what the event is, if he knows the month of when it's happening, where it's happening, the email address of the person, who the previous speakers were. Once he does that, the human part is done. He's done there. So but what happens next is we go to the contacting stage. And that prospective booker for us as speakers will receive an email. It's very simple. It says, and this is from Dottie, who's named my assistant. It says from Dottie, subject is re your event in, and it automatically inserts the month of the event is happening, and it says, and James Taylor. Hi, inserts the first name. I see your, inserts the name of their event. It's happening in, inserts the month. I'd like to introduce the keynote speaker, James Taylor. Click here on this video and you'll know in 2 minutes if James is the right speaker to speak at your event. Regards, Dottie. Really short, really quick. Now, what we do is if they don't click on that in the very first day, a week later, if they still haven't clicked, another email will go out. Very similar, change the wording slightly, because the only thing I want them to do at this stage is I want them to go and visit my speaker page and see my video. That's it. I'm not telling them my life story. I just want them to quickly click on that. Because when they click on that, a bunch of really amazing automation begins that I'm going to show you. But before I do that, I want to show you this. This is what's called a conversational AI, or conversational artificial intelligence. There's only 2 speakers in the world using this just now. There's myself and Tony Robbins. So I'm going to show you this. I'm going to have to think about how you could use a tool like this to get sales and for your speaking. Let's watch this.
Converska uses an artificial intelligence-powered sales assistant to engage leads, qualify those leads, and elevate the most promising leads directly to the attention of a salesperson. A lot of people think that AI works by identifying keywords. Our AI actually looks at the whole message and understands the meaning or meanings contained within that, and then chooses the correct action based on that interpretation.
Our virtual assistant, she starts a real conversation with the customer and she asks him whether he's interested or whether it's a good email to reach him at. She never gets tired. She has all her focus on one customer at a time, and she does it all day long, and she keeps track of it. We make sure she's not rude. She's very attentive. She kind of like says the right thing at the right time, doesn't hit them too hard, warms them up a little bit, then brings them in.
What's great about Converska is we call her Stephanie. She's the best employee we have.
We absolutely designed it from the ground up to work with whatever email system you use or whatever CRM, marketing automation system. You just select what you want to name your persona, their work hours, their title, and then what they're going to be responding to. Basically where the leads came from helps to determine what the conversation is going to be.
So imagine what it would be like to have an AI assistant like this, who's working 365 days a year, 24/7 on getting you speaking gigs. How cool would that be? Now, a year ago, I gave a similar presentation to this in Singapore. And at that point, it was costing, this Converska was costing about $3,000 a month. And there's lots of other conversational AIs out there you can choose from. And I thought maybe by the end of the year, maybe it would come down to $1,000 a month. So just about in reach of a lot of people. They've actually launched a freemium model, so anyone can go on their site and actually get their own AI assistant today. So this is really cool. This is great because this gives you the ability to reach and scale across the world. It also does multi-language as well, so you can have it doing different languages depending on the different territories that you're wanting to reach out to. So once someone clicks on that speaker page, they go and visit my page, a bunch of things happen. First thing that happens is retargeting ads. So they're going to be cookied when they go on my website, and for the next 30 days, I'm basically going to stalk them online. They're going to see ads for me everywhere, on YouTube, on Google, on Facebook, because they're probably choosing me between two other speakers. So I want to be top of mind the whole time. The system also sends me a little note and says, "Hi James, can you film a quick video for this person?" So I do a very quick little video. I use a tool called BombBomb. I film a video and it says something like this. "Hi John, I see your event is coming up in May. I know my assistant Dottie is talking to you about me speaking at it. Here's what makes me a great fit, A, B, and C. I hope we get a chance to connect. Let's schedule a time to speak about it. Regards, James." And then what's fascinating is I see them opening that email, that video, and I can actually see them sharing it across their organization to the people on the committee. And then if they don't respond to that, I send another email. It goes automatically a week later, and another one a week later. And the one thing I want them to do is to schedule a discovery call, to get on the call with me. That's the thing that I'm trying to do. And they can do it automatically. Just like this morning, I had 3 discovery calls come up on my calendar because they're just coming in all the time. So when I get them on the call, these are the kind of questions that I'm asking. I say things like, what is it about me and my work that makes you think I'd be a good fit for your event? So I'm essentially asking them why they like me. What is it about me? I'll then say, what's your experience of working with paid international speakers? Paid international. Paid, I don't speak for free. International, I'm not going to be the cheapest speaker. I'm preempting that part of the conversation. What have you paid your previous speakers? And a lot of the time they'll just tell me straight out what they paid their previous speakers. Are you looking for this year's speaker to be better or worse than last year's? So I can do that because I've got this strange British accent, and I can sometimes get away with that. Based on the speakers that you've had before, what could I do in my keynote that would make you say, that was the best speaker we've ever had? I want to know what success looks like for them. It's not necessarily what the success is for the audience, but what them as the decision maker. So I do this discovery call, and we look to either close the date or hold the date or not, and then we go to this Act 4. So this is delivery stage. So we get the contract signed, we do a pre-event call, I'll schedule a debrief about 10 days after with the client as well. We'll send some deliverables, book the hotels, prepare the keynote, advance the event. I'll message the client on the morning of arrival. We'll do the AV check like I did here this morning. I'll give the keynote, network, and then leave and on to the next city. The final thing I'm going to share with you just now is how to use AI to actually help you create a better speech. I run almost every presentation I give through an artificial intelligence. I use IBM's Watson. Now, why do I do this? It's because when I deliver a speech, I want it to connect on a rational level and an emotional level. And in order to do that, I need to know the psychometrics and the personality of the audience I'm speaking to. So what I do is, let's say this, I was speaking at an event the other day in Arizona, and I gave the AI the details of this association. In this case, I just had to give it the Twitter account or the social media accounts. It then spidered all of the members of the association, all their social media accounts, and it tells me their personality and their psychometrics. So this audience like someone to challenge authority. They've got a strong feeling of organization. So in my stories, I'm going to be seen as a bit of a contrarian. I want to come across that way. Strong feeling of organization. I'll right at the start of the keynote, I'll probably lay out, this is what we're going to be covering today, which I don't always do. Then what I do is I give the AI my draft keynote. I just give it the text of it. It then reads my keynote, and it tells me the personality of my presentation. It tells me what the psychometrics of my presentation are, so that I can overlay the personality of my audience with the personality of my presentation and see where the gaps are, see what I need to work on. So in this one, I could see immediately I need to do a little bit more about challenge, a little bit more about stability and self-expression. So challenge, I'm going to be issuing a lot more calls to action. Okay, on Monday morning when you get back into the office, do X, Y, Z. So this is helping me understand the audience. I'm going to just leave you just now with just this kind of final thought. We are just living at an incredible time in history. But if you're going to build, there's lots of different ways you can build your speaking business, lots of different games you can play. I really encourage you, as you build your speaking business, to build a business that's not just going to put lots of money in your bank balance, but is also going to give you a great life. I want you to speak more and work less. Thank you so much for listening to me today, and wish you great success with your speaking.